We're going to start. We're expecting a number of other folks who are making their way upstairs, but I wanted to welcome everyone who is here. My name is Dadey. I'm the Executive Director of Citizens Union, and I appreciate you turning out on what has been a quickly arranged panel discussion and public forum on the issue of term limits, their impact, and who decides. I am joined here by my colleagues who have been instrumental in preparing for this forum in record time of under 6 days. Jean Rushinoff from NYPIRG and Susan Lerner from Common Cause New York. We will introduce the panelists in a few minutes, but I want to just help to frame this program tonight by saying that the three of us, our organizations, were motivated by helping to elevate the discussion that is taking place around the issue of term limits, and to have all of us engage in a civil conversation, in an informed discussion, and a spirited dialogue. Because so much of this debate so far has really been about how the law, has really been about how the law is going to be changed on term limits and who's going to make the change. But what really is missing from this conversation is the impact that term limits have had on our city government. Lost in this hubbub of controversy and discussion has been an examination, an evaluation of the impact that term limits have had, good or bad, on city government. And so tonight we really want to step back in the midst of this intense conversation that's going on about whether or not the council is going to change the law and what's the vote and who's for it, who's against it, and really talk about term limits and their impact on the city. And so I think all of you know, or as many of you know, Citizens Union has a very clearly articulated position on term limits. We have historically opposed term limits. We did so in the 1990s when the two ballot questions came before the voters. But we now believe that there has been some good that has come as a result of the turnover that took place in 2001. We have not yet formed a clearer position about term limits going forward, other than to say that we do have a concern over the 2 4-year term limit that currently exists for all of our elected officials. And then we also historically have a strong belief in giving the voters as many options as possible in terms of candidates when they come to vote on election day. But we are very clear about the fact that we do not think the council should take the action to change the law, particularly in light of the fact that the voters twice came in on this issue and enacted term limits. Or if term limits are to be changed, we believe that the voters should be the ones making that decision and not the city council. So tonight we have a very great panel that is going to take us through the various permutations of this issue and their view on what is taking place and what should take place. And before I go over the format, I would just like to turn the program over for a minute to Jean Rushinoff and Susan Lerner to add their introductory comments.
Good evening. I'll be mercifully very brief. I'm looking forward to a lively and civil discussion on what I think is the biggest city issue of the year, maybe the decade. We live in very tumultuous times, financial crises, presidential election, and now this issue on the local level. And we have a great panel, and I look forward to the discussion.
And I think I'll just